You look like you're going to hit me in the back of the head.
What's up, guys? This is Dr.
Hey.
Angelo of
Are we on?
Oh, yeah, we're here.
Oh,
With
we
the
are.
Horsemen live on YouTube. I'm happy to have with me here. It is Straight Talk with the Boss. I think this is episode 20, and I'm here with Magnum TA and Greg Gagne. Guys, welcome to episode 20. Yeah, 20 episodes, I think.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Are you breaking them up?
No, not breaking them up at all. We only had one clip episode. That was it.
I thought we did number 11 last week.
No, that was weeks ago.
What are you drinking back there?
Not enough.
Really?
Yeah, Greg.
Well, you know, when you get to be about 75, things start, you forgetting stuff. And
is that the excuse I should use too?
And I've forgotten what he's even talking about, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, guys, we got a fun show here today. We're gonna do a lot of ask questions that like a mailbag, so to speak, here today.
Oh, nice.
We'll cover
turkey neck here.
We'll cover some ground here otherwise too. So, guys, if you are tuning in, be sure to ask a question. Help out the podcast. Use the super chat. That'll help get us going here a little bit. Get a little extra money in the pocket. Plus, on top of that, though, too, like, subscribe. Get the word out about the show. We try to go live every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Greg, that's 3 p.m. Central Standard Time for you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You noticed today I was early.
Yes, you were. I was the last one in. Look at me. I should not be throwing the shade around.
What was that little thing you said there about something about money? What was that?
Oh. Yeah, we haven't heard about that too much.
Did you hear that, TA?
No, that was back on episode 11. You missed it.
Well, that was back on 11.
Exactly. That was it.
You missed the payday.
Yeah, you missed the payday, Greg.
We'll catch you on 30. We'll catch you on 32. We'll be on number 32.
It's a cycle. It goes in cycles. We'll have to catch you on the next one around, Greg.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, unfortunately. But guys, get your questions in. We'll cover some ground. I have stuff that I've been wanting to cover for a couple weeks. We'll see if we'll get to it though, because this last few episodes we've got our own turn. We've taken our own turn and kind of do things like the main topic of last week's episode with Magnum, your car accident and everything like that. And really, like I said online, my favorite episode we've done to date, because it was just a really eye-opening, I think, profound episode, I would say, you know.
It was. I got a lot of feedback, and a lot of people, Tia, that's the first time they heard that story, and a lot of them broke down.
Yeah.
And I can see, we did too. It's a tough deal, man. You were such a stud, and you still are.
I'm still a stud. I just don't move quite as quick.
Well, we got some fans in the chat here. CB, he says, "Hey, Greg, Magnum, and Dom." He's been here on weekly. Hi, CB. How are you? Jen Vargo, who tunes into the Click This podcast, she says, "Hey, Greg, Dom, and Magnum TA." Yeah, it should be a fun episode. What I'm thinking, how I kind of want to start this off is, did either of you guys catch Raw this week by chance, or see some of it?
Take the call, TA.
Take the call if you need to, Magnum.
It might be Steve.
Do what you got to do.
No, y'all keep it moving here. I'm gonna.
He's lost in Vegas.
I'm gonna take care of this.
Yeah, take care of the business. You're the boss. You got to handle it.
Where'd he go? He's lost.
Robert tuned him out real quick, so he can handle it.
Okay.
But Greg, let me ask you: did you watch any of Raw?
Did I watch what?
Any of Raw this past week?
Yes, I did.
Yeah? What did you think? I love the King of the Ring tournament. I think I'm really engaged with what they're doing with that. But what do you think on it?
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like their brackets. I really loved the Orton and AJ Styles match.
Oh, on SmackDown.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I sent Triple H a little note.
Yeah.
And I'm in all of it. I'm watching, and to me, you can see the influence of Triple H and maybe The Rock. I don't know how much he's really involved, but obviously he has some say in there. But the matches are much, to my liking, better than what I've seen in the past.
Right.
They've always had some good matches, but that one with Orton and AJ, it was like old school. little quicker pace, but the people, the response they got, it was like an old school crowd. They were so into it, and you could feel every bump, every move, and that's what wrestling was all about.
And those are two
sensational.
Pros. Yeah, those are two pros that, like, you think about. They're veterans of the game at this juncture, much long time, and so they know how to handle themselves in the ring. They know how to tell a story in the ring, and it's crazy. I was pretty surprised that was one of the first round matches was AJ and Randy Orton. So now,
me too. That would have been a good finale.
That would have been a real good finale, or at least like semifinals kind of thing and stuff like that.
Who do you think should be in the finals?
I think it's definitely going to be Gunther. And then I will say I could see Gunther and Randy Orton being in the finals.
That'd be a heck of a match.
That would be a great one, right?
Yeah, it really would.
Ooh,
I didn't know that Randy had back surgery.
Yes.
And he was out, and he's back wrestling again.
And he was out, I think, for over a year, if I'm not mistaken.
And he had a fusion.
Yeah.
I've had that. And they told me, of course, I can't at 75 go back in the ring, but there's no way I'm having trouble with it now. I don't know how he's doing it, but again, that match really was, and a lot of them on the card that night were really good.
Right.
Tia, we were just talking about, Randy Orton and AJ Styles. That was a phenomenal match.
Yeah, and I reran the Monday night when last night was watching some of it as well, and they've just got so many different ways they can go with the whole thing. I mean, personally, I wouldn't be surprised if Jey Uso is in the finals, because the kid I mean, because he had a stellar match with that young kid that they're putting the kind of the rocket on right now. The kid that came over from NXT, what's his name?
Ilya Dragunov?
Yes.
Yes.
And that guy's got a brilliant future. I mean, brilliant. I mean, he's got all the right stuff to be a big money ball player. And they put Uso over him, and they should have. And which lends me to believe Jay's probably going to go all the way to the finals. In the deal. But the whole concept's great, and it's good television. It's intriguing. It's thought provoking. They got all these little twists and turns that they can throw in with it. So it's good stuff. And I agree with what Greg's saying about Hunter's touch. I'm going to put a little twist on that from the shots that Will Ospreay shot over the bow, kind of knocking him. And it's really, you really need to be careful staying in your lane when you get kind of out there on the edge of something you don't really know about. And I see Ospreay's got this great future, great potential ahead of him and whatnot, but he's not in the same universe as Triple H. If he were even remotely live up to 100% of what he's capable of being, he still is too old to have the impact that Triple H has had on this industry and continues to have on it today. Mm-hmm. So to try to insinuate that someone only is where they're at because of who he happened to fall in love with and have a family with is just the most ridiculous, foolish statement that anybody could publicly make. And it's not the kind of things you do, in public forums. So I that was a kind of little immaturity thing, I think that took place there. But Hunter is so on top of his game, so dialed in now that they're just giving a master class of what's ahead, and they've got no limitation to. They got this huge palette that they can just paint the most amazing stories with, from left to right, top to bottom. It doesn't matter who you throw in the mix. They have so many. They're so deep in talent right now that it's got to be a lot of fun because your hands aren't tied.
Right, and you look at it too. Well, I was talking about this on my other show, was the aspect that there's so many injuries going across in wrestling right now, whether it's WWE or AEW. And you look at when the injuries happen on WWE, from a CM Punk to a Drew McIntyre to a Seth Rollins to you name it, like other names, Rhea Ripley. There's been a lot of times where they could have major speed bumps in their storytelling process. But to what you guys are saying, to what Triple H has been doing and building things, you can kind of plug in and play a lot of these different talents and not really miss a beat. Sure, you might miss a little bit of star power when it comes to some of these guys and gals, but ultimately you're able to convey a great story already. Like Jey Uso took in place for Drew McIntyre, and look at how far he's getting into the tournament. And maybe that was already part of the plan, but like, it still shows you that you're able to kind of do this stuff. Now, AEW has had a little bit of trip ups on their own fashion, and they've struggled because they haven't done as good of a job as building these stars underneath, making sure that they're planning ahead for the future. So,
and they won't.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, and that's the head scratching.
I mean, that's my opinion.
Right?
TA might have a different one than me, but
I watched it last night, and this is the first time I watched it live in a while. I will say that they've gotten a little bit better at keeping some story stuff intact, but ultimately it's kind of like lower level storytelling still, where it's almost like paint by numbers storytelling that we've seen this song and dance plenty of times from several different promotions. So it's optimistic, cautiously optimistic, though, I think, when it comes to AEW right now, but we'll see. I don't know. But Megan, what do you think?
The House of Black and Edge is got the potential to be the most intriguing thing they have going on.
Yes.
It took me back in time to like Kevin Sullivan and Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because both those guys can pull the audience in and make them part of the story and make it personal. And, frankly, I think the WWE completely missed the boat in not knowing what to do with him. They had him, because to me, now he was out for a while with an injury when he got in AEW, wasn't he? Or with somebody. Yeah, he had an injury at some point in time in the deal. Right. And I remember, when Cody was still there, seeing their interaction and seeing like some magic in that guy. And now if the right person was to tend to the garden of that Edge story, that thing could really be, taking his wedding ring from him, and just like going down and like pulling his eyeball out, man. It was like, he says, take his ring. It was some classic stuff. And you can't just deliver that unless you've really got that deep down in your soul kind of ability to bring it. And right now, that and Tony Storm are like the two most intriguing things going on the whole show.
Right. Yes, I agree.
To me.
Yeah, me too.
I agree. I did want to get, since you touched upon it, Magnum, that story, and I'm sure we'll cover this in future episodes, that story with Kevin Sullivan and Dusty Rhodes, and we had the satanic panic going on back then in the 80s and everything like that. What was that like, being in that time period with Kevin Sullivan and his creativity and bringing that really, like, at that time too, extremely unsettling stuff when it comes to mainstream stuff for anybody in the public eye when it comes to their religion and
if Kevin, timing's everything. If Kevin could have had the stage of TBS when we got so hot to do the same things he did in Florida before he got on that stage, the things he did with Jake Roberts with him, and Mark Lewin, the Purple Haze, and and Blackjack Mulligan, and driving the spike in his chest. The promos, the angles, the fights, the things that were just so good and so strong that had it just been seen on a bigger stage, oh my gosh. And Kevin got runs in the WWE, he got things, but I'm saying when Kevin Sullivan was at his classic, the daggone devil, that Dusty always called him the devil. He was just, the perfect interview, the perfect sound, and he looked like a flipping devil. He played it very, very well, they had a great mind for the business, understood psychology and how to get super, the kind of heat that gets you hurt.
Right.
And he knew how to get that kind of heat. They wasn't afraid of it.
And plus you're in the South too, and that's such a, the Bible Belt down there and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's just my goodness.
Oh yeah. You talk about tying him to the tree of woe. I mean,
Right.
I've never, and it's funny because when I was first there, and they were doing an angle, he wanted me to turn heel on Dusty and be a part of his faction, and this was long before the Magnum thing was cooked up. This was like my first 6 months I was there, but it was like his mind was just always spinning, and he's had a long career and still going out there and making an impact on the indies and things that he does. So brilliant guy, brilliant mind. But he reminds me again back to Alistair Black or whatever his first name is. He that little group that he's got there could very easily, and if they were to somehow win and take control of Edge and pull him into that thing, that'd be the biggest faction ever in that organization.
That's a great point. That's a really great point.
Yeah. We didn't have too many factions in the AWA. Mm-hmm. But we had
wrestling. Y'all were doing that wrestling thing.
We were doing that stuff, and we had our devil was Mad Dog Vachon.
Yeah, he was a real devil.
He was a real devil, that's right. Oh God.
No, it's the Malachi Black. I mean, I loved him in WWE and stuff like that. And the presentation that they initially had for him, like his entrance, his music was like so intense and crazy, and like it's just like unpredictable kind of thing. And I'm hoping that, and that's what I was really hoping what they did starting off in AEW, and then that kind of changed, and he, like many of the other talents, weren't utilized enough, and injuries too came into play. But now I'm really optimistic for him. I'm hoping they utilize him the right way. And I think Magnum, you described it the best way possible. To really get your mileage out of Adam Copeland Edge, I think that would be a good thing to do. And you can almost cultivate a new brood that he had almost back in the day too.
Tony Khan better hire TA.
I know, right?
I'm not sure he can afford me.
Ooh.
I got a lot going on. I got things.
Yeah,
I'm on episode number 30, man. I got things going on.
If he can't afford you, I'll go down.
Greg, you can be the facilitator like you are with PowerTown.
Yeah. I'll call you. You go. You do the walking, and I'll call you. I'll say, "Hey."
Okay. Yeah, he does all the PowerTown stuff now. I feel like I'm kind of left out the last couple of days, but he's doing a heck of a job.
Hey, there we go.
We got some great things that are going to happen for all. We had a big signing the other day. Another one to add to our list. Missy Hyatt.
Oh my, that's a good one.
I think
we were saving that for a really special big plug, and you just had to go blabber it all over the universe.
Well, I got a chance. I haven't never, I had a chance to be around her much, talk to her on the phone a little bit. And, I thought I better throw that out there. We don't want to forget that. And then I find out that, TA and her, I guess, we're on the road together a little bit.
Oh, so yeah.
Oh yeah. We were, I met Miss Hyatt when she was a wee lass, young girl. Matter of fact, I think she was in love with Tommy Wildfire Rich back in the days when I first met Missy. But then, of course, she went on to she married Eddie Gilbert, and part of the Hot Foundation and that whole deal. And then WCW, when I was doing the work on camera and things like that, we did a lot of commentating, co-hosting things together and stuff. So she's I've watched her, through just a great, really. But aside from Miss Elizabeth, I think Missy probably got 10 times, actually got more airtime than Miss Elizabeth ever got.
Wow, really?
And she was really the first lady of WCW. Wow. And so they used her, on, and just all kinds of things and conducting interviews and work with Jim Ross and I doing work. And we used to fly to New York and shoot videos and things. And she's very talented, very talented young lady. So it's very cool to have her in the PowerTown universe. And yeah, I don't want to steal Greg's thunder because he put that deal together. So that was very cool.
No, that's
awesome.
I didn't.
You got now. We're over what 250 something wrestlers now. Is that how many you got?
We got a couple. We got a couple. We got a big enough roster that we better both stay healthy for quite a while because it's going to take a minute to do justice to everybody we've got
to get all them going.
Well, we're working. The TA is working hard. We're trying to get some of the merchandise going for our talent, online sales and stuff like that. Because the action figures do take a long time. I mean, they're so unique and they're so different than what anybody's got out there. The Remcos kind of match up with everything, but our ultras, I hear it from everybody. They're the best thing on the market, bar none.
They are super cool. Super cool.
It's like birthing a baby. It really is. It takes you got 9 months to make a baby, and it takes just about that from conception to start, art realization, all the things that go into the sculpting and the design and all the piece, and then the pre-sale, and then the manufacturing, and then getting it over here. I mean, literally, it's 7 to 9 months of work just associated with bringing out a run.
Right, and then the money and the investment that goes into it, where you got to create each one. We were talking about that last week. It's just crazy.
And TA's done a great job staying on top of that.
Do you
have a doll coming out soon, TA?
A doll? No. I don't have any dolls.
Well, you were in the first run.
You have a doll?
That's right.
You have a doll?
It's coming back to me now.
Greg, let me ask, when are you getting a figure?
Oh, I'll be done at the end.
Okay.
I want to make sure our talent that we've got on board, gets their stuff out there. We got Brunzell on board too, and he's already banging on me. When's our action figures coming out? So we're down the road a ways. We got 250 or 247 pieces of talent that we have to take care of. And that's the goal we're trying to reach right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I believe it too. Cause so many of the names that you mentioned on here, but you mentioned behind the scenes, it's an exciting stuff. It's very exciting.
It really is. Yeah.
Guys,
did you see that question just popped up about the Remco belts?
Yeah, I cut and paste. I'm putting some of the questions down here for a little bit later on because I'll cover some of that. Since we're talking about figures now, let's dive into it here. Sean Blanchard, he's a local wrestler here in the Pittsburgh area, and he was super excited once this podcast started up. He's a big Horsemen fan, big Magnum TA fan, big AWA fan, and this speaks to that, Greg. He asked, why did the title belts for the 1980s Remco figures look like NWA world title and not AWA titles? Do you know that? Any reason behind that, Greg?
You know what? I never noticed that.
Really?
It really didn't.
Well, the deal is, first of all, we can only exactly replicate something that we can get a license to. Mm-hmm. And the AWA belt, the licensing for that is all owned by the WWE.
Right.
And the Remcos were never meant to be 100% exact, like the Ultras are. The Remcos are a caricaturish type depiction of the talent. Mm-hmm. In other words, it's kind of exaggerated, like you would draw or caricature. And the belts are kind of a la that same stylization. So it's they're all individual really cool things, but that's why they're not like, it's not like we made the 100% replica of the big AWA belt, because frankly we don't have that license agreement to do that.
See, that's interesting. I wouldn't even consider that. Yeah, that's crazy. So pretty cool. You can get the NWA ones. Speaking of actual physical belts, Sean had a follow-up question. And I think, Greg, you mentioned this already. Do you still have the AWA title that Stan Hansen returned to the AWA after running it over with his truck?
We didn't run it over with the truck.
Okay.
He hammered it with a big sledgehammer. So I don't. We haven't seen that in a while.
Oh, really?
It did come back to us in the mail in a box.
In pieces.
There were some kind words written on there too, but yeah, that's funny. Now, yeah, Stan got a little upset about some things, and that's how we got the belt back.
Well, you know what? If you had it in a box in pieces right now, it'd be worth enough money you could go buy yourself a new car.
You know, it probably is somewhere. Maybe one of my sisters has it. I haven't been able to find it, but I had most of the stuff, and I've got all the big albums that my mother made. She got like 8 or 10 of them, and I've been putting some of those clippings and stuff on Instagram every week. In fact, every day. And
which has been great.
Good response from it. I mean, the people like that old stuff, and it's working pretty well.
Yeah, no, what you've been doing on Instagram, Greg, is awesome. It's like really cool, old school stuff and rare stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else.
No, this is stuff back from the early 50s and late 40s.
Yeah,
some of the stuff, and I found a great big poster the other day with the champions starting back in like 1904.
What?
Yeah, and I put it on there, and it's getting all kinds of views.
I gotta look that up.
It's got all the champions, and then came up to where the AWA was formed, and Vern became the champion from Edward Carpentier, who had held they thought he had won a match over Luthez in Montreal by disqualification. But Canadians recognized him as the NWA champion, and then Vern wrestled Carpentier in Omaha and beat him. So all the confusion then, that's why he broke away with the AWA. That's how it came to be, because they took it away from Vern and said, no, you can't win the title by disqualification.
Oh yeah. Well, so
that's where all the confusion came from that match.
Is the individual that that Vern beat, is he recognized as an NWA champion, or just
he was recognized because he had beat Luthez in Montreal by disqualification, but they awarded him the belt.
Okay.
They awarded Carpentier the belt, and then he went to Omaha and defended against Vern. Vern won, and then they got the big deal. The NWA got in there and said, no, you cannot exchange the belt by disqualification.
Wow.
So it went back to Lou. But then Vern, the Midwest, and that's when the AWA was formed, and all the promoters in the AWA then recognized Vern as the world champion. So they just created another league.
Right.
That's how that came about.
Holy smokes, that's great. Okay, wow, how about that?
You didn't know that, Don?
I did not know.
Craig, you tell me you know everything about wrestling.
No, I don't.
Not
very much not.
Really? Well, T is going to stump you too.
Yeah, you're going to stump me pretty easy. I know a lot of obviously the stuff I grew up as a kid, but then I kind of learned a little bit more about stuff. But I really want to make it more of a habit to tune into the older product and kind of get more accustomed to what you guys are talking about. I know some of the basic stuff, but clearly there's a lot more I want to learn, even starting off.
Well, there was a lot back in that time between, the NWA and the AWA were, they had the WWF that time, and they had the bigger markets. They had New York, Pennsylvania, or Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and, they had the East Coast. But, and then the Crockett's had their territory, which was on fire. They had great talent. Yeah. And then the AWA, we ran actually from Winnipeg to St. Louis to the West Coast. So we covered the biggest area. And like I say, Vern was, he was a family type guy. So he gave everybody the whole month of May off and the first 2 weeks of June every year. So, all that, the top talent wanted to be there. Right. We ran with only maybe 18 or 20 guys. But, it was a main event from the top to the bottom. Crockett's even came in and studied our TV and Vern's formula, and then he took it back to Charlotte, and that's when that baby got on fire. Yeah. And I don't know if TA ever knew that or not.
How about that?
Oh, I knew the influence for sure. And and what it grew from, the Crockett, that organization that 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 was there early, in the the 60s, 70s, and 80s was vastly different than what it became about mid 80, because then we were wrestling in every major city in the country,
Yeah.
via jet, and we had 200 guys living in Charlotte, North Carolina, working for Jim Crockett Promotion in 1986.
Were they running more than one event a night then?
Three a night.
Three a night.
Yeah. And selling them all out.
But that was a grind, wasn't it?
I didn't know any different. I mean, that's all I'd ever done. I mean, from the day I started for working in Portland, I worked basically 7 days a week my entire career. I didn't. What you're talking about, you might as well be telling me about Mars or something. Talking about being offered too much. I mean, I literally, I think, I probably wrestled in excess of 350 matches a year because of the double shots and the other things that went along with it. And so, in a little under 7 years, I had more matches than guys would today in a 30-year career.
Yeah. We were a big one for be about 250, 260 a year.
I was going to ask you, Greg, how many matches you think you guys.
And that was
that's
big.
Still a lot.
Well, in the summertime, in the northern tier states, in the summertime, people want to get out.
Sure.
And from May to, September is when we started our big run. From the September to April, end of April. I mean, we went every day, and all the arenas. I mean, we had we were drawn like crazy. But then when the summertime came, we maybe only worked 3, maybe 4 times a week. That was very seldom in the summer.
Y'all were spoiled. You were a spoiled bunch of kids. You were spoiled.
Yeah, we were. We made really good money, and we worked hard, and we got time off with our families, and we didn't. A lot of the guys didn't get divorced like a lot of other places.
Oh yeah, I could have done enough damage in that. I would have to kept cycling because I would have done enough damage in that 10 months.
We backed him up there, the wild card.
I'm not buying all that either. So you tell that you tell Go that story. I'm not buying it.
Well, I hung in there. I was 43 years with my first wife, and she passed away from cancer, and 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years later than when I met Laura. But no, I was just hung in there that whole time, or she hung in with me, I should say.
I would say, I would flip that script. I would say, I would say them high flyers weren't a bunch of choir boys, and you had a really good woman.
Well, we had our moments.
Yeah. And it doesn't take but one moment to constitute shelling that money out.
That's for sure.
Who was more of the wild card in your tandem? Was it Brunzell or you, Greg? If you had to be
Who was the wild card?
Who's the more wild child?
It wasn't Jim.
Okay.
We were from we played football together in Minnesota. That's when we first met. But
you can't tell this story.
Jim had his own methods of what he liked, and it was the opposite of what I liked.
Okay.
And I could go out and have a few beers and party with everybody. He'd rather be alone and do whatever recreational things he wanted to do.
Fair enough.
But I never got into that side of it, and he was. And I'm conservative. He's very liberal, but we got along in the ring.
That's it. Hey, opposites attract. Opposites.
Yeah.
Hey, we have some more belt questions here. I got to ask this one. So this came from Twitter here. This is in reference to Magnum. I think I know the answer to this. Magnum, is that the title? Is that title on your desk, the Mid-South North American Championship?
Yes, that is a amazing replica that a good friend named David, the collector in Virginia Beach, had made for me, and it is so nice. I would pick it up for you, but it weighs like 22 pounds.
Wow!
And it's the nicest. It looks nicer, 10 times nicer than the original belt looked.
Seriously?
yeah, so he had this thing custom made for me a couple years ago, and it's my backdrop here. But it was cool because I was the first one to hold that belt, and there's a few times in your career you get to do the first of something. So I got the first North American run with that belt, and I had the first the gold version of the U.S. belt. So I got to have two kind of unique experiences with titles like that.
Wow. That's something else too. The first gold version of the U.S. belt. That's a great belt too.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
I got a quick one for you.
Sure.
Brenzel called me today. We've got this event coming up in St. Louis this weekend. And we get flights at 6 o'clock in the morning. You get up at 4 to get there, and he's been complaining about it ever since. So I said to him, the other day on Instagram, I put a picture of you up there, and geez, we're getting a lot of good hits on it and nice comments. And I said, "Are you on Instagram?" He says, "No." He says, "I was on Facebook, but they threw me off." I said, "What did they throw you off for?" "Oh, I got too political."
Oh, that'll do it. That happens.
Yeah. So maybe that'll tell you the direction he goes and I go.
Yeah. I know they'll pin you down for that stuff.
He started that in college.
Wow, really?
He wrote an essay on the assassination of President Kennedy.
Real okay. Wow.
And he called Washington, and he was bugging him. And finally, the FBI came to him and told him to knock it off. Wow. I mean, he gets a little overboard with that stuff. So that's where we're different.
How about that?
Here's another funny story. A quick one. We play football at the University of Minnesota. Murray Wormath was the coach at that time. We had freshman ball, and then we had the spring ball, and now we're sophomores. And Jim was a good kicker. He was a high jumper in high school and played football and baseball, but he set a record at high jumping. And he was good. He was a good kicker too. So we're playing Michigan, and Murray used to yell at Jim. Jim was scared to death of him. And Jim was always like that. If somebody yelled, he was like, "Oh, Jesus, what am I going to do?" So he's kicking off, and Murray yells at him. I won't use the swearing words that he used, but he said, "Keep that damn head down when you're kicking the ball. You're going to kick off against Michigan." So just before the kickoff, Murray reminds him again. So Jim runs down, and he kicks off the ball, and he's running down the field with his head down, and the guy, big forearm, tea kettles him out cold.
Man.
So yeah. So he must have ran after he kicked the ball 7 or 8 yards with the head down, and then caught this big forearm. So coach has got a pretty good laugh out of that one.
Oh my God. Keep the head down. Not forever though.
If we ever have him on, tell him to keep his head down.
Yeah, Craig. I mean, hey, Jim, keep your head down.
Yeah.
Here's a good follow-up question. Italian asked, who was the best football player that wrestled in the AWA, Greg?
Who was the best football player where?
Football player to wrestle in the AWA.
Ooh, we had a lot of great ones. Bobby Duncombe was a great football player. Mm-hmm. Leo Namalini way back. Yeah. Vern, Dick the Bruiser. They all played pro football. Harbold Haggerty, he played football. And when you want to pick out who the best was of all time, Bob Bruggers, who I just heard just passed away the other day.
Mm-hmm. Wahoo wasn't too shabby either.
No, he was. No, but
Wahoo pretty good.
I'm sorry, there was a lot more, but who sticks out to me is Wahoo McDaniels.
Yeah.
When he was playing for the New York Jets, Joe Namath was there.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the game, and Wahoo, I don't know how many tackles he made that day, but it got to be where the announcer would say, "Who made that tackle? Guess who?" And the crowd would go, "Wahoo."
I love it.
Well, he got so popular in New York, and Namath
traded him, right?
They traded him.
Because
Namath was the star, but he wasn't getting the recognition with Wahoo there. But Wahoo was a tough son of a gun. Oh man, I tell you what, TA was around him too. There weren't too many guys as tough as him.
Yeah, guys.
No.
Man, we covered him in a couple episodes ago. I'm posting some guys. Yeah, if you're on the 4horsemanetwork.com right now, take a look when we're done here. We got some Wahoo clips up there and more to come from that episode. Plus, I'm sure we'll be talking about him more down the line as well, too. Let me get a good question here for Magnum. Here we go. Big Boss Brat. Magnum, your I Quit match in the cage with Tully is one of my favorites. Any chance Tully can join for a watch along or review of the match together? That'd be pretty fun. That'd be pretty cool.
You know, he and I did we actually did a special thing at StarCast like 5-6 years ago that they had on their pay-per-view thing.
Yeah.
And we did that. Tony Schiavone hosted it, and we watched the whole match, and then we had a Q&A after and everything. And you know, he and I have spent more time going around the country over the last 30 years doing things like that, talking about that match than I would have ever imagined. And next year will be our 40th anniversary.
Wow.
Of the I Quit match next.
Why don't we get him on here one day? And you know, I wasn't around. I mean, I was around, but I never. You know, I heard about the I Quit match, but I never heard the whole story of the thing.
Yeah, we should definitely do it. I think.
Can we get him on here?
I'm sure we could at some point. Yeah, why not?
I don't know. I know somebody that might know somebody.
You might know. Yeah. You guys have connections, right? What else we got here? Oh, here's a good one. Oh, wait, we'll go with this one. Italian again. Did the AWA champion ever wrestle the WWF champion? Did that ever happen, Greg, to your recollection?
I'm trying to think. I don't. You know, Pedro Morales came in after he was WWF champion.
Yeah.
And wrestled with us. Vern always was trying to put together a thing with Vince Sr. to do a thing where the champions went against each other. But
right.
Back in those days, nobody ever did it, you know. And I don't know when you'd hear the guys from that era talk about it, they were a little leery that one champion would beat the other one. and
yeah, especially one of them might have been Harley or or Bob Backlund back in the day.
It was more like Bruno and Vern. That's the direction they were going.
Yeah, but I'm saying, you know, that's why they had Bob Backlund the champion for so long. They had somebody that could protect the title.
Yeah.
After, you know, I mean, really, just because to his point, you know, all bets could be off at that point in time. If you talk about a power struggle, you know, imagine, you know, at the peak of it, like you said, San Martino, you know, the Harley Races of the world, you know, and Vern and guys that could go, you know, if there's enough money involved, no telling what might take place.
Yeah, right. That was the biggest concern. You know, Vern always pushed for it, him and Bruno, but knowing Vern, it would have been. I think he'd had both titles.
Oh
put it that way.
Well,
nothing against Bruno, but Vern had that.
Vern was, he was. Bruno was just a big, strong guy. He wasn't a wrestler.
Yeah,
I mean, Vern would have tied him in a knot if he wanted.
He was a puncher and a kicker kind of thing, well,
that was kind of the philosophy of the WWF back then,
right?
You know, and that was which was really strange. And maybe I've said it before, and if I have, just cut me off. But Vince and Vern would change talent, and like they sent Pedro to.
Yeah, you did tell this. He would come up there, and he didn't draw as well, right?
He didn't because the style was so different, you know? He was a puncher and kicker, and they were used to, and we had the punchers and kickers with, you know, Bruiser and Crusher, but that was a different, more of a different style, and they were more of a character personality, you know.
Right.
Crusher was known as the man that made Milwaukee famous, and he was a beer drinker, and Bruiser was another great football player.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. West Texas.
He was really good.
Yeah.
He played for the Packers. That's where him and Vern met. And Haggerty, they all met there. So,
did Ernie work for you guys? Ernie Ladd. Did he work for you? Did Ernie work for you guys?
Yeah, he came in for a few, some shots. He was never there on an everyday basis. He'd come in for some special shows. They used him a lot in Chicago, but
That's awesome.
in the Midwest and out west, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
He had a different style. I mean, you could use him once in a while, but you couldn't have him there steady.
Yeah, he was an attraction too. He was great, such a great act too.
Yeah.
So entertaining kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
To follow up real quick, I know too the funny thing too with the first WWF championship when it came between Buddy Rogers and Bruno, the story was that Bruno had to shoot on Buddy Rogers and let him know that he was going to take him out because Buddy Rogers was against maybe losing the title. So Bruno pinned him was the story that as it goes. So that's pretty kind of crazy to think.
Things like that happened back then.
Yeah. Did Vern ever have to shoot on somebody? I'm sure he probably did, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We saw Dandy one night, and this was funny. This was when we were just coming out of our training, and we used to have these parties all the time. We moved from hotel to hotel, and Wahoo was in the AWA at that time when we were all breaking in, and Flair and Brunzell and the Iron Sheik and Bob Bruggers and the whole crew Patera. So we'd have these parties and we'd go to different hotels, and Wahoo used to make this punch, him and Ray Stevens. It was vodka, Everclear, and some punch, and then a bottle of Benny's would go in there.
Was this the one where he goes blind? He can't see? The one NFL player?
That was another one.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Had a few of them. So we're at the Radisson South in Minneapolis. And Billy Robinson was there, and he was one of our coaches. And Billy didn't handle booze too well.
Yeah.
And Flair would disappear into another room, and he'd come walking out with just the cowboy hat on and the boots, and at attention. And it was showtime. And of course, a lot of the ladies got all excited and all, around him. Billy got pissed off about it. And about the third time, Rick made about 3 or 4 different appearances. And about the 4th time, Billy had about had it with him. So he went after Flair. And Vern said he cleared out the thing. He had us all get out. And they were in the room alone, and Vern just beat the shit out of Billy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Billy could go.
Yeah.
Billy thought he could go, and he thought he could handle Vern, and it didn't happen.
How about that?
We had the curtains open about that. We were watching from the outside, and we're get him, because Billy was always, even when we were in training, he would do stuff. You give him your body, and they're showing you, how to take the fall and all that. And he would hurt us quite a few times.
Really?
Yeah, that is of all the stuff in the early days of the business, to me that was the biggest crock of crap of things that happened.
Yeah.
Not just him, Carl Gotch, different guys.
Yeah.
Like you said, you give somebody your body, you let them get you in a position, and then they want to take liberties with you. And I had come from out of this, weird little stage in life where I was working security in nightclubs, and our manager was a formal SEAL Team 6 Special Forces guy from Vietnam.
Wow.
And so, he had to go along with my wrestling, collegiate wrestling. He had taught us all these things to do in security situations and chokeholds and all this different stuff.
Yep.
So when I got into wrestling and people, wanted to be wise guys, it wasn't, I was of a mindset that you weren't going to just, try to maim somebody. If you were to do that, then, you're going to get your arm broke, or you're going to get your neck broke, or something bad's going to happen to you. You don't even want to play those stupid games, because to me, it's your livelihood at that point. So I had a real bad taste in my mouth for people that, protecting the business is one thing, but, guys that are training and trying to do the right thing and then hurting them, I had like a zero tolerance for people doing that. And I mean,
And
no respect.
Billy did that a lot to us in the training camp when Vern wasn't there.
Really?
You know, it would give him our bodies, and then he would, crank us pretty good. And Vern had heard about it, and I think he'd had about enough of it, and really went after Flair that night. He had us all get out of there, and it was on.
It was on.
Yeah.
So why do you think Billy would do that? Do you think he was just a bully and kind of like insecure about stuff? Or?
Yeah, he came from that Wiggins thing or whatever that was over in England, and they all thought they were these great shooters, and they had these submission holds, and he was very, very good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he had all that. He had all that knowledge, but he picked the wrong guy when he. And I remember when one day he was there, him and Vern were having a match, and Billy said to me, and my dad had a lot of good friends he played football with at Minnesota, and they were all buddies all the time. And Billy kind of got in with them. And he was saying to me, well, those guys won't believe it if I don't win the title from Vern. And I just kind of mentioned it to Vern one day. Before the match.
Yeah. Hey, just so you know.
Yeah, just so you know. Yeah. So,
yeah, I like to have seen that one.
Yeah. It was a dandy. Well, Wahoo was there that night, and Ray Stevens, and they were outside with us, with all the other people that were there, most of them ladies. We were watching through that thing, and of course, Wahoo and Ray are really getting off on it, because they didn't like Billy too well. Billy had hurt Ray a couple times in the ring.
Really?
So.
You hear about that a lot with Billy. Like he's such a great wrestler, but definitely I've heard that before too. But he was kind of like a bully,
Oh yeah, he was. I mean, he was. When Vern wasn't there, boy, we all got in the ring with him and did the things, but he'd take advantage of us, and put us in some bad positions, and we all got hurt a little bit in there.
Man.
Yeah.
Magnum, did you ever have to shoot on a guy in the ring during a match or anything?
One time in my life, and this is where the belly to belly came from.
Oh.
I was working with a guy in Florida, and I'd just been there maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. And this guy had brought his girlfriend, or his girlfriend of the week or whatever, with him on the road, and had her sitting right in the front row. And I just happened to heard the two of them talking beforehand. He said, "Look," he said, I got to make this guy look good tonight, but I can beat him just like that if I wanted to." It was me he was talking about.
Yeah.
And so we got in the ring, and I mean, he didn't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch, and he just didn't know anything. And it was funny because Tommy Young, who was a fantastic referee, was down. And Tommy would come down and get breaks from working in Mid-Atlantic and come down to Florida, and he was refereeing the match. And the guy just completely forgot the spot, forgot everything he was supposed to do. And he was a big guy. He's like 6'2", 6'3", about 280. And I waist locked him as he came off the ropes. And it was just a natural thing. And I belly to belly suplexed him, and I threw him so hard. I was like in the middle of the ring, and he almost went out of the ring from there. And I realized right then that just my body mechanics, I had the ability to do that. Like, out of nowhere, if I could get my hands around you, you're going. And so I put that in the back of my head that was my thing. But Tommy Young's eyes got about that big because he knew that wasn't part of the deal. He said, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing!" And I said, "Yeah, well, you're going to see that again one day." But honestly, outside of that, I mean, I've never had anybody go in and try to take advantage of me. Of course, I was a pretty good sized guy,
sure.
And a rear naked choke was something that we had used for security all the years I was working in the clubs, and matter of fact, we did a thing with the sheriff's ranch down there that Eddie Graham was associated with, and they had this great big police officer come down in the ring for me to do a demonstration of the sleeper hold on him for a shoot. Well, the guy comes down to the ring and it looks like Andre. His head and shoulders are above everything. I mean, he's like, I said, what in the world have they? I had to stand up on the bottom turnbuckle and have him back up to me because I couldn't reach him. I would have had to jumped on him like in The Princess Bride or something, to get him. And I put it on him, and his neck was so big. As soon as I locked my hands and cinched it, he was out in like 10 seconds. But he was so big, he collapsed like a little kid, like straight down on his knees. I just laid him backwards in the turnbuckle. And I said, what a gentle giant to they did. I guess they didn't think it was really gonna. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing or something, but it got a big pop out of everybody. But I said, thank God he was a good sport because I would have a 6'8", mad sheriff.
Right, come after you.
Yeah, but yeah, I knew how to take care of myself, pretty well, and I just can't imagine, guys having to go through that in the ring because, every night that's our bodies and that's our livelihood, and you're not going to take liberties with somebody that's giving you that.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
And that was one of the things Vernon would always say. Remember, guys, if you get hurt, you don't get paid.
It's true.
They taught us how to protect ourselves, and we did an hour of submission wrestling every day at the end of camp.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we all knew how to, take care of ourselves. But the funny one, Kazur Vasiri, the Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
He was on the Olympic team and he was Greco-Roman, and Greco-Roman, you have to turn the guy. And Kazur starts on Billy Robbins, you think you're so tough. You can't turn me. You can't turn me. And Billy says, and he kept it up all day. And finally at the end of camp, Billy says, okay, well, what do you want me to do? Get down on all fours. So Kazur gets down on all fours. You cannot turn me. You cannot. He kept it up, And Billy comes out and he drops a knee right into his thigh. And we had done 1,000 free squats. We've been doing those. And coach, you broke my leg. You broke my leg. And he rolled over and he says, I turned you.
Yeah. If that'd been straight up, he'd have been in a daggone shoebox because Cos was a real deal.
Yeah. He was an Olympian, right?
But that's when he would do things like that.
Yeah, he's a cheap shot artist. That's nothing tough about that. That's a daggone puss.
Yeah, it really it was. Yeah.
I'm hot. I'm gonna have a drink.
I almost got in it with him a couple times. He after Vernhammer, he wanted me.
Yeah.
He's gonna take it out on me, but yeah.
Greg, did you have to ever shoot on anybody or anything?
Did I what?
Ever have to shoot on anybody in the ring?
No, not really. I think one time when I had to cinch up on a guy just to let him know.
Yeah.
And it was one of those English wrestlers over in Japan.
Oh.
And I can't remember what was his name? Freddie Alberts. And he tried to take advantage in the ring. I could feel it. And I kind of reversed and got a leg on him and let him know that I could snap his ankle if I had to.
Yeah.
But it was funny. The first time I go to Japan, I sent Bob Bruggers and I went over there. We had Blackjack Mulligan there and Dale Lewis and who were all the Moose Cholak. They had like 4 or 5 main eventers, and then they had Bruggers and I, our rookie year. So my dad, then we're over there for 6 weeks. And he says, okay, you know what to do? And I said, yeah, go in and have a good match. And he said, no, the first 2 or 3 nights, when you go to tie up, punch them right in the nose and break their nose. I said, what? He said, break their nose. And I did it the first 3 nights. And they'd all come in, oh, Mr. Gagne, Mr. Gagne. I never had a problem. But he said you had to earn their respect over there, and you better do it right away.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We were there for 6 freaking weeks. And we're making like, I don't know, we're getting like $1,000 a week, and these other guys are getting $5 and $10 grand a week. So we go in and you have to learn your symbol.
Mm-hmm.
So you go into the locker room, and we had about a week and a half left of the tour. And Bob and I are in the first and second match all the time. And Bob, we're in the locker room, and I said, what's nice? I can't, we had to learn your symbol.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm not on the card. I said, well, you got to be on the card. I said, oh, shoot, you're in the main event tonight in a cage match. Did I tell you this story?
Yeah, you did.
So, okay, then I'll stop.
Well, go ahead, because since
Bob, you got to bring back, I forget a lot of things, and I start telling these damn stories over again.
No, since Bob just passed, tell it again though. So
shit.
fans that are tuning in aren't that.
So I went up to Giant Bob and I said, hey, could I be a manager for him? Bob doesn't know what to do in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He says, so we're down there, and Bob's getting the shit crap beat out of him. He's bleeding and he's crawling over the side, and this guy just hammering on him. And I see this shiny thing on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to realize, in Japan at that time, the people would clap for everybody. And when the match started, it was dead silent. Dead silent.
Yeah.
And it's dead. So I pick up this thing, and I told Bob, I said, hey, take this and hit right down above the eyebrow. Hit down on him. Boy, and he did, and busted him open. And all of a sudden, a whiskey bottle goes sailing by me, and it hits the cage.
Uh-huh.
And I look over, and this little Jap was running back, and I kicked him in the ass, and he went right over the rail. All of a sudden, it just was, the people were like this.
Yeah.
And they're screaming and hollering. I remember Bobby Heenan say, as a manager, you got to keep moving. And I wasn't. I'm seeing all these guys, and they're screaming, they're standing. And Bob gets beat. So I went up over the cage and got in, and all of a sudden I see a shadow, and a chair hits me right in the head.
Oh.
And Jesus, I see the blood, and I grabbed the chair, and I ran up the turnbuckle, and I fire it and hit the guy behind the head. Every chair in the place started coming.
Oh my gosh.
So we start to try to get out of the ring. I said, well, we got to get out of here. And Blackjack Mullen comes out to help us. And there's a big balcony up there. And he's coming out like this. And we see the chair, hits him right on the head. Down he goes. So we're trying to drag him in through there. And we had a full-fledged riot. They broke windows.
Wait, so Blackjack got knocked out?
Oh, not cold. Yeah.
Wow.
We had to drag him in, and a couple of the other guys came out to help drag him. We had to drag him back in the locker room, right?
Wow.
And he's out cold, and they're breaking the windows, and they have the riot squads came. And so the next week and a half, we're in the main event every night, either Bob or myself. And Bob gave us a nice big bonus at the end. But from that time on, the guys that went over after us, they came back and went, what the hell happened over there? The people were just wild, like Americans. They got into the matches. Before that, it was just clap at the beginning and clap at the end. That was it. Shit, we couldn't go anywhere. Mulligan and I went into a dance club. He found some American gal that was singing. She took us to a club, and we're out on the dance. I'm on the dance floor with her, and all of a sudden there's a circle around me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and I went, uh-oh, and I see him starting to come, and as they came running, I just pop him. He just kept feeding me. And then Mulligan came in, and the thing exploded, and we ran out of the place with the gal, and the cars were in the street. We were running down, couldn't get to a cab, and we got, I don't know how many people chasing us down the street. Mulligan I said, come on, Jack, we gotta go. I got the gal on my arm. We finally found a cab and got in, but yeah, the last week and a half there was just unbelievable.
My goodness.
Yeah. So there, I can probably repeat some more stories if you want, because
I'll let you know.
I forget which ones I tell half the time.
That was a pretty good one, because I didn't remember some of those aspects of it.
Yeah.
And plus with Brugger's.
Okay, TA, give me one of yours.
I'm gonna wait what he's got for us. I'll take us down a bunny trail.
Right. Let's do one more question, and then we'll close it on out with that. Let's go with Eddie Prather here. Magnum, do you have any good stories from your time in Florida? Any big?
They were, Florida was just it was the best time. It was so much fun down there. I could see why people came and like to come down there, just for a couple of months and stuff, to get away from a territory where maybe they got too much heat or whatever. They just need to cycle people out. But I was there for a year and a half, and Dusty fancied himself a cattleman, and he bought these cows that were registered Beefmaster cattle, and so he had out somewhere right outside of Tampa. He had leased some land. He had like I think it was 12 or 13 cows, and he had one bull named Cowboy, and he paid like 13 grand for this bull, which this is the 80s, so that was huge money for a bull. But anyway, so like I would go out there because I and feed them up. Sometimes I'd take the hay out, go out in the afternoon and stuff because he had somebody that worked the property, but the guy wasn't always available. So one time us cowboys somehow got a rope around a cow's neck that it got away from us. And you can't leave a cow running around with a rope around its neck because it could step on it and break its own neck.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's dangerous. So we're out there trying to figure out how we're going to get this cow. And Dusty is driving his truck. He's got a big old Ford dually. And I'm running, chasing this cow in cowboy boots. He's driving the truck. We're making circles. We look like something out of like the clowns in the rodeo, chasing the bull. And then it dawns on me, and then so he finally gets tired and he gets out and he props up against his truck and he's dipping some Copenhagen. And I mean, I'm like sweating bullets. I've been chasing this cow. Well, finally, somehow the cow stopped and it got tired of me chasing it, and I got hold of the rope. Well, I'm not, I'm pretty quick study. I realized I'm not going to hold a 2,200-pound cow with my 240-pound body. That ain't going to work. So I run the end of the rope through the hitch on the back of his truck and cinch up on it. The cow runs around the truck right past Dusty and pins him up against the truck. He takes the whole fender off the truck. I let the rope go because I figured he's going to get killed. And I said, "You have me out here chasing this cow, and you're over here going smokeless while you got your man out here going to wrestle a 2,200-pound cow."
Oh yeah.
And I said, "And now your truck is broke." We couldn't do it. So his cowboy buddy, that's a real cowboy, comes out there and he walks up to that cow and grabs it by the nose and twists, and the cow just drops like a dog. And he just reaches over, pulls the rope off, and says, "That's how you do it, boys." Oh yeah, so yeah, that's one of countless stories. But yeah, Florida was a blast.
Oh my god.
We're gonna have some more Dusty stories next week. We got some from the AWA too.
Absolutely. We got some good questions here. I'm going to screenshot more of them so we can continue on that. Little Patty, I did not forget your question. I want to save that actually for a full episode because we're going to do one on that certain person that you're asking about. So I did not ignore your question. I just want to make sure we get it for later on. Guys, don't forget too about PowerTown. Boom. PowerTown, scan that QR code. You go to PowerTownWrestling.com and you can check out new TNA figures that are upcoming, and they are awesome. Holy smokes. We got Moose, we got Josh Alexander, a beautiful Jordan Grace, and then we got Eddie Edwards happening. You can get the whole bundle for $189.99 at PowerTownWrestling.com, or you can get them individually for $49.99. So go to PowerTownWrestling.com, check them out. And per usual, too, go to thewrestlingcollection.com, and you can get for display only figures, I believe, of Stan Hansen, of Bruiser Brody, who I have, and then of Vern Gagne. But then you can also get, if you want the Series 1, they have two version Series 1s of a full Bruiser Brody figure and a full Stan Hansen figure. Those are a little bit more expensive, but check them out at the wrestlingcollection.com. You won't be disappointed. Guys, I got a show next week. I got to show again that Kerry Von Erich figure. I just love it. Oh, man, that diamond collection is so fantastic.
Diamond collection.
So great stuff. Obviously, guys, too, you missed the Remco's figure. We talked about those a little bit earlier, the original ones, but we made PowerTown made some modern ones. Magnum and them got them together, and they look amazing too. So be on the lookout for those coming up soon. But the pre-orders for those are already done. But guys, yeah, bookmark PowerTownWrestling.com. Go and check that out. As far as socials, be sure to follow Greg on Instagram. We were talking how great his Instagram is. Go to gagne.greg. Share some one-of-a-kind photos, some amazing stuff. Very much a historian, too, of the business. So a lot of fun, Greg, a lot of neat stuff. And then you can follow Magnum at The Real Magnum TA on X. And you can also follow him on Instagram at Magnum_TA. And you can follow me on X at Dominic D'Angelo. You can also follow me on Instagram. Catch my gym pictures at dom.d'angelo. So there you go. But guys,
what was yours again?
dom.d'angelo.
Atta baby.
There we go. So guys, thank you for tuning in today. Well, this has always been fun, and we'll definitely get to more of your questions too, because I had more on tap that we didn't even get to covering. So, but we talked about shoot fighting today, so a lot of fun. And hey, we'll see you next week.
Chasing.
Yeah, cow chasing. We're all gonna be cattlemen next week.
Yeah.
We'll
wear our cowboy hats next week.
Yeah, you got one. You're like John Wayne. We'll get the posse going tomorrow, the next week.
All right.
On Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA and Greg Gagne.